Hey guys, Thomas Silly Jr. here, aka Mustache Tom, here to review the movie Skyscraper featuring Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. So, I haven't seen any of the reviews for this, so I get to go in with take a fresh look at this movie. The movie starts in with a call to the police, and we see that the character he plays, Will, was a former police officer who got called into this bad situation where this other guy blew himself up, causing Will to go to the hospital and having a few years pass to recuperate from the injury. So, meanwhile, we cut to this news coverage of these new buildings being built by this one guy. I never caught his name. I mean, they say it in the movie, but I just didn't write it in my notes here. But I'll just call him the boss of the building, or just the boss for the sake of simplicity. Um, so this boss guy, makes all these tall buildings, these literal skyscrapers, for a living. And so we see that Will has these prosthetic legs now, and he puts them on. He gets ready for this business meeting, so that's what he does now. He talks to his wife, who ensures him that he will get this job. He also has these two kids, whose names I also didn't quite catch throughout the movie. I know they also mention them, but it kind of goes by pretty quick with what they have to deal with. But anyways, so his meeting goes good, but one of his former friends or friends that was also in this incident. There we go. Gets a text and starts to look very suspicious right off the bat. So, he gets to have a look inside the building, in this area within the building that allows him to look outside. It's all cool and tech future based. He mentions, I believe, to his friend that without the bad luck of the situation that he ended up in, there wouldn't have been good luck for him to meet his wife. So, he takes the bad with the good, so at least he has that outlook on life. So, meanwhile, someone gets up, watching Will move about, and the suspicious music starts playing, and then this guy gets up to rob Will and runs away. But the thing that he was after, Will put in his pocket, so he still has this little device thing or a key or whatever it was. But we cut to all these workers who are working on the inside of the building, or a worker. We see a crack take place, and then a bigger hole being created. And we get to see our bad guys of the movie make their way in. For simplicity's sake for them, I called them the Siren Group because on their bag it said Siren. So Will's friend gets another call, and it's very clear where that whole thing is going. Meanwhile, these two maintenance guys check in on the wife and the two kids, and again, we clearly see that's the first indication of this Siren Group. But we cut back to Will, whose friend pulls out that gun, and they instantly become former friends as they fight it out. Will shoots him. I don't think he's ever set to die, quite frankly, but he ends up being shot. I think he did end up getting killed. Nonetheless, the Siren Group sets out these little torch things that help burn out the building. And as that's going on, the boss of the building doesn't want to leave. He says that the building will take care of it with its technology. Nonetheless, Will sort of gets, as he makes his way forward, sort of gets shot at and he's forced to leave the area. And then, I believe he's making his way back to the wife or at this point. And then he ends up being tased by this woman who's also with, that, uh, the siren group, sorry. And then this woman scans his face and then leaves because his face scan was what they needed to get into the building, or a part of it anyways. So they shoot these policemen down, and the siren group shows how much they are willing to go to, what lengths they are willing to go to in order to just get into this building. So the mother and the kids were promised a stay in this building, the skyscraper, so they were inside while this is happening. So now the building's on fire, they're still inside. We all know where this is going. So the siren group makes their way in, shooting down more of the security, and this siren hacker guy gets them in. And all the stuff turns off, and the vents also like get blocked, and then he gets shot by the siren lady that is like, nope. And then another major explosion goes off. So, meanwhile, Will is trying to make his way toward the building, seeing the police, and almost, giving up. But then he sees this crane, so he gets an idea. So as I mentioned, the woman shoots the hacker guy, and then one of the boss's co-workers gets like this item from the safe, or he does. I think it was the boss that gets the item first. Anyways, the police start looking to Will, thinking that he is the one responsible since he was the one with the security codes and ways in. So he sees that he has to run from them, and he makes his way to the crane while being chased. So he works his way up, and he locks the door at the top of it so that he can move the crane towards the building. Meanwhile, the boss thinks he knows who's responsible. Like, one of his guys who's with him is like, oh, this guy is responsible because of this reason. So the rock swings the crane and it gets hooked into the building, and it seems like a perfectly good way to get across, but the claw falls off as the police make their way up. So he runs for it, and as you can see on the poster, he literally takes a leap of faith. And then we cut to the wife and kids, who they're running, and then the fire's still catching up to them. One of the co-workers, the bad one with siren, starts to shoot out the boss as he made his way to the roof, but he doesn't actually get him. And then the siren group and then this other group sort of split off and gunfight off each other. So they shoot the helicopter, and it does this bizarre flip that I'm not sure if that would happen, but whatever. So the boss manages to get himself out of the situation and locks himself in a room that is locked. So the siren group wants the family in order to get Will to do what they want. So Will tends to himself and sets off to get his family as well. But as that's going on, the coworker, the evil siren coworker guy that was formerly with the boss, pulls out a gun at the mom, who fights him off and then cuts him a little bit. However, the kids end up getting separated from her, and then they end up splitting up from each other for a brief moment. So Will ends up joining the mother rather quickly at this point. I don't know how he knew her location, but whatever. But the son's still at the other side of this bridge or walkway or whatever you want to call it, and the daughter was already moved up above because the son suddenly gained courage and then said to go up there. So Will makes this bridge out of a plank, and then he holds up something. I think he was holding up his end of the bridge. It was kind of unclear throughout the entire scene, quite frankly. Nonetheless, the mother makes her way across and picks up the son and makes her way back, almost falls for that little bit of tension, but manages to make it. So he ushers them to this elevator and makes it go down. She pulls this lever thing that allows them to stop just before it crashes to the ground. Meanwhile, two more of the siren guys chase the daughter away. Will attacks them while she moves up above, and then he eventually joins her. But a gun is pulled on him, and they threaten to kill the daughter. But the mother and son do manage to get out, and they mention Siren to the police. So Will secures this rope and breaks the window in one of the rooms afterwards. Meanwhile, the mother sees a possible escape route for the Siren group as they were planning to make their way out. So Will walks along the edge of the outside because of he was trying to get something that was in the circling vents or whatever it was. So he jumps down further and goes into these like spinning turbines is what it was. But the fire's catching up, so he manages to do a thing with that to either turn it off or turn it on. I forgot which one he was doing, but nonetheless, he like swings his way back, gets almost caught off with the rope, like ends up like on his on the prosthetic leg, like the rope gets attached to it as he's like swinging there. But nonetheless, he manages to like work his way back up. And as soon as he does, the boss has a gun to him, but he explains everything and they decide to work together again. So the boss tells him how he has this device that it tracks all of the siren group, and that's why they can't kill him, because if they did, the information that he had would be spread to all the police. So Will comes to the boss and they make their way to the roof to where the siren group is. The boss has this plan to threaten Will to confuse the enemies, the siren group, with the daughter being on the line. And the boss asks for this parachute, and then as soon as that happens, he throws a diversion and then shoots, as well as the Will, and then the daughter is able to run away. They end up going into this mirror room that was shown off earlier, and this fight breaks out in it, and Will and the boss manage to meet up and then have their little moment there. But the cops find out that the siren group is indeed outside, or some of them are, waiting for the rest of them to get to them. This little siren reunion, if you will. nonetheless, the wife fights off one of the siren woman, getting a little assistance from the cop that was with her. Uh, so Will confronts the last guy, like one of the main siren guys, tricking him into thinking he was in front of them when really he was behind them because of the whole mirror thing going on. And then he comforts the daughter as they are trapped in that room as the fire is going on about. But luckily, Will's wife had the device, turns it off and turns it back on, which allows the uh, the water system to get turned back on and get the fire to go off. And that was a little reference to the beginning of the movie. At some point, she mentions how she doesn't know how to necessarily work a phone, and then Will mentions how sometimes you just got to turn it off and turn it back on. So that was a follow through from the beginning of the movie. So Will gets to reunite with the rest of his family. They reunite. They go off into the sunset, and that is Skyscraper. It's a pretty decent action movie. I do think that the villains are a little bit underwhelming. Like we get the Siren group, but we don't really know like who they are as individuals. Just that they're doing bad stuff. The moments with the kids, again, like the son's sudden bravery in that moment, comes a little bit out of nowhere, but I don't think these moments necessarily ruin the movie. It's just, your basic action flick. So I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I think if they just buffed up the villains just a little bit, gave them a little bit more personality for the individuals so we know who exactly we are dealing with on a one-on-one basis, instead of me just saying the woman siren chick or the main boss siren guy, I don't even know if he's the boss or not. Like, that's how much I don't know about them. I don't know which one's the boss. Just if they had done that if they tightened up the package of that a little bit more, gave us a little bit more time with the kids so that when we do get to them having that moment, it makes a little bit more sense. I think this would have been a solid 7 out of 10, but I still think it's a 6 out of 10. It was enjoyable enough. Just a little bit more needed to be added clearly, but that is my review of Skyscraper. And if you enjoyed my review, then please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out that link in the description. I'll head you over to my Patreon page, and any donations are greatly appreciated. And until next time, everyone, bye-bye.